Hello and welcome to another edition of the GetGrowing weekly work session with GetOiling. I'm Coach Ashley. Today we are joined by GetOiling founder, Greg Kilwine. Hey, Greg.
Hey, everybody.
We also have Julie and Colin from my team with us. What's up, superheroes?
How's it going, everybody?
Great to see you guys. And as you are coming in to join us here in the chat, let us know where you're coming in from. Let us know what you're excited to learn about today. Today we will be covering in-person events. Of the time that we're filming currently, the world is opening back up in a significant way. We can get together in person, and that's just such a wonderful way to share Young Living, because to experience the products really is something that just monumentally makes a difference in whether or not people are ready to get started, right? They get that first whiff of peppermint or maybe one of the blends, or they try some Ningxia or whatever, and they're like, oh my gosh, I gotta have this. So if you're not doing in-person events yet, you're gonna want to by the close of this. And if you've ever done them and you felt like they were just too much work, we're about to blow your mind because it's gonna make it so easy for you. I'm actually, out of curiosity, for those of us who are coming in, and of course, if you watch this as a recording later, leave a little comment in the YouTube comment section. Have you ever, is this you, have you ever done an in-person event and then perhaps felt like you didn't get anything out of it because maybe you forgot to get in touch with the people who did RSVP or didn't, right? The people who said I'm going, or even the people who are like, oh, that's really cool, but I can't make it. Like, have you ever found yourself feeling like, oh man, I really dropped the ball after putting all that work into an event? It's a pretty common way to feel, and it's understandable, right? Like, you didn't get into this business to be an events organizer, right? You got into this to share products that you love. So we're going to talk about how we can make this make sense, make it really simple, and surprise, made a really cool tool for you guys that we're going to be sharing here today and using and walking through as we are completing this setup. You are going to see from start to finish an in-person event that we will create today. And I'll show you exactly how we set it up so that you are automatically told what you need to do and when to prepare for the event, what to do and when with the people who are RSVP for it, and that you will have something on your behalf sent out via email or text, your choice, to the people who RSVP, reminding them of the event and confirming that they've registered, and then of course sending them a thank you message after the fact. I'm going to show you how to do all of that. And the best part is this can become a system that you use for every kind of event you host. So maybe you like to do make and takes, and maybe you also like to do classes, and maybe you also like to do experience parties. You can use these for multiple things, right? So if you're going to do a 101 class, but then in a couple of weeks, you're going to do an oils and babies class, you can use the same systems. You just got to follow the same steps. And I've got a fillable checklist that you can duplicate and use for that purpose that we're going to be going through today. So without further ado, yes to Pink Floyd. Awesome. Yes. Great. We've got folks who are excited about this. Angie's working on an event for next week. Fabulous. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop out a video here, get into our slides, and then we're going to get into some screen sharing and show you guys how to get this thing done. So as promised, you can see my screen, right?
Sure can.
Yes, thank you. Awesome. So today, as promised, we are going to learn how to easily run in-person events with GetOiling. So what we'll be doing today is completing, we're going to learn the complete checklist, and you're going to see it and learn how to use this checklist that I've created for you to run your in-person events using your GetOiling system. It's going to shave your time in half, keep you super organized, and make you want to do more of them because they are so stinking easy to run if you've got the right things in place. Then, of course, we'll get into some live help and Q&A because as I share this information here today, it may not fit every single thing on your checklist. And if you want to know where your item goes, we can make sure that we're clear on that here on today's call. So if you have questions as we're going through today's presentation, or if you came here looking for help generally, if you have other questions, feel free to add those to the Q&A here on the live call and our team can work with you. And then if you watch this as a replay and you'd like to join one of these calls and get in the Q&A and hang out with all these awesome people from all over the world that are on this call every week, you can go to getoiling.com/weekly work session. This is Team YL. You don't have to be a GetOiling user to benefit from these calls. But of course, we are here to help you get the most out of your GetOiling system if you are a member of our valued community. All right, and if you want help on a future call like this one, we don't have anyone signed up for this today, but from time to time, folks will say, hey, I'm working on this. Can you look at it? Can you give me some feedback? You can sign up for a dedicated spot on a call like this in the future by going to getoiling.com/website review. It doesn't matter if it is a website or a site page that you're working on, if it's your event strategy, your follow-ups, your contact manager, whatever that might be that you're working on that you need a hand with or you want some feedback on, make sure you head over here and sign up for a future live call. It's totally free and we can sit down one-on-one and really dig in and help you move forward and get things done in your business. All right. Now, quick show of hands. Do you host or perhaps want to host in-person events? Raise your hand for me. I'm kind of curious here today. Maybe let us know in the chat if you are a seasoned event host, or maybe this is something that's entirely new to you that you're trying to learn maybe how to do before you actually embark, right, on creating your first event. And for those of you who do host or who have plans to host, what kind of events are you planning to host? Let us know in the chat. And again, would love to provide some greater context as we get through this and work through this together today so that we can better understand how different types of events will translate here and sort of how you want that to go down, because this is very customizable to you, as is all of your GetOiling system. All right, so another question for you, curious to know your answer. What keeps you from hosting more events? Maybe you'd really love to just be out in the world and teaching all of the oily stuff that you know, but you aren't, right? Or maybe not as often as you'd like to. What's keeping you from doing that? All right, so I want to share with you some examples of in-person events that we're going to be kind of covering today, the types of events that this particular workflow is going to apply to. It's by no means exhaustive, but it should sort of give you a general gist of what we're going for here. So this would be educational classes where people would, come and sit down in a room, you give a presentation, you share the information, and so on. Make and takes or craft classes where you get together and you make a cool thing. Ideally, hopefully that's a cool thing that gets oiled, so you have the opportunity to share oils in the process. Product experience parties like spa parties, right? Pedicure parties, things like that. That's a great thing that you could do with this. And then, of course, if you want to go old school and just have an opportunity sharing event, right? If you're, connecting with people in your area and you want to talk with people about the business, then this would be a great application for that as well. And then also, if you have an expertise that gets oiled, right? So if you're a yoga practitioner, if you are an AFT practitioner, if you are teaching about any number of different things, perhaps you have a program that you want to educate people on that includes the use of oils, whatever that might be, whatever this event is, the idea here is that people are being told about this event ahead of time. They are RSVPing, and then they're showing up to it in person. So if it fits that criteria, that applies to what we're talking about here today. We will do vendor events specifically in a separate training. Now, we do have some existing training, but it's a good time for us to update that. So we'll be doing another vendor event training soon. But today we're specifically talking about events that one must RSVP to attend in person. Okay. Now today, there is a resource that we're going to include in our YouTube description, and team, if you could pretty please put into our chat the link that you can actually click and open this up right away. This is a fillable checklist. So everywhere that you see a line or the space in between these paragraphs here, you can actually fill out and plan your entire event and how it's set up in your GetOiling system from this checklist. And I'll be showing you how to interact with that here in just a bit. So this is the thing that you're going to want to have when you follow the steps that I'll be sharing with you in the video today. And of course, those steps are in order right here on the checklist. Okay, so the GetOiling features specifically that we're going to cover that are in our system for how you're going to manage these types of in-person events are follow-up plans, campaigns, automations, and events. All right, now a quick note. If you wanted to be more manual about this, where we talk about campaigns, you could opt to schedule emails using saved replies, but I'm going to show you something today that is set it and forget it that you are only ever going to want to use moving forward. All right, so who's ready for a walkthrough? Who wants to see this stuff in action? Let me know, show me your hands. And of course, after that, we will get into our live help and Q&A. So I'm going to move over here to our system and open up this checklist. So hold on just a second for me. If I could find that real quick. There we go. All right, so I'm going to move my share over here and show you guys what I'm working with. And then we'll be kind of toggling back and forth to look at these different steps. All right, so this is the event checklist that you will receive. I'm going to keep this in this view right here so we can zoom out just a bit. So here's our in-person events checklist. What we want to do is give a date, time, location, topic, theme, and event title. So I've already got one that's basically worked out here. And this one is going to be on, what's up with let me refresh this real quick. Bizarre, it's doing that. All right, so it didn't do this to me earlier. So we're going to make this for September 23rd, 2022. Check that guy off. The time will be 6 to 8 p.m. The location will be chiropractic office, give it the name, right? Whatever the chiropractic office name is. The topic is going to be toxins in self-care products. And this is really for me because I want to make sure that I'm gathering the right information. But what this is actually going to be called is something that's going to be more interesting to your ideal person. And so that is this title here, and I will be showing you this in just a second. So this is going to be called Disrupted is the title. How your bathroom cabinet and makeup bag are making you sick and tired. So let's check those off. Now we need to list off our to-dos. And I swear, I just made this thing. Let me see if it'll work if I shrink my screen here. That's so weird. It wasn't doing this earlier. Hopefully it doesn't do it to you guys. I used PDF Escape to make this a fillable PDF. Anyway, so we're going to click here and we're going to actually go through everything we need to do in the planning process for our event. Now, I should make a note here for you guys real quick is that I'm not an expert in in-person Young Living events. There are people in our community and the Young Living Team YL space who are really, really good at this stuff, who are pros. I'm using this to provide an example for you. So this is by no means an exhaustive list or an example of exactly what you should do for your event. What we're doing here is building an example that we can then plug into the GetOiling system. So you may have a different list and that's okay. And it's probably even better, especially if you're following something that you've been taught by someone who has really successful events. Okay. So basically what we want to do with this list is talk about securing our location, purchasing supplies, planning out when we're going to send things, maybe confirming special guest speakers, making our Young Living orders so that we've got enough things to offer or to demonstrate and so on, printing out things that you want to have there. So the list might be, we'll say 20 days prior, we're going to contact the doctor to confirm space on scheduled date. I would, of course, recommend that you plan your events considerably farther in advance, right? So do this quarterly for the next quarter, ideally, if you're really going to be following an event strategy. But if you're throwing something together at the last minute, hey, done is better than perfect, guys. So, prior to, we want to contact and confirm that we have the space on the scheduled date and that there are enough chairs, right? What else do we need to do? We need to also, as early as possible, we're going to go ahead and say 20 days. We're going to order supplies from Young Living and elsewhere, wherever that might be. If you're using, if you're doing a make and take, something like that, if you need other supplies. Specifically, just, being mindful of shipping times right now. You do want to make sure that you've got those on hand for your party. So let's just say maybe 14 days prior, post on social and email your local contact list. You could also 14 days prior design flyers or other materials to be used at event, right? Design or purchase. Save yourself some time. All right. Now we can do all kinds of stuff ahead of time, right? Not going to make an exhausted list here, but what I do want you to make sure that you're doing is you're putting this many days prior, I do this. This many days prior, I do that. All the way up to day before, pack supplies in trunk of car, right? And then day of, send, make sure reminder is sent. All right. So this is the kind of list that I want you to make here. So now it actually shows up correctly, even though the fill-in box is super weird here today. So now we're going to check this guy off because we're going to finish him. Now, the next question we want to ask ourselves is, how do you want to follow up with your people, right? Are you offering maybe from your event a one-on-one consult, a scan, some kind of a bonus to incentivize them sitting down with you after the event is over? What I want you to do here is to make a list of everything that you want to make sure that you do and everything you would want to make sure that you say or share in your follow-up, right? So if you have product bundles that you've made with MyYL, put that link here so that you've got easy access to it. If there's specific verbiage that you want to include when you're following up with people, put that here as well. But most importantly, because what these are going to do, these two things here, these to-dos, these are going to become our follow-up plans so that your GetOiling system is able to tell you what to do for whom and for what leading up to the event and after. What we're doing with these is making a to-do list, right? So in this case, we might want to say, pertaining to our people specifically. So you do want to make sure that if you're on social media, we want to say after registered, so immediately find on Facebook and connect, like, or comment on a post, right? Because these are leads. What else would we want to do? Immediately, you will be sending out in a campaign an email that confirms that they're in, so you don't have to do that. But perhaps the day before or the day before, check to see if reminder email was opened, right? If you want to make sure that they're getting the emails from you and that they have the details, right? You can connect that way. Now, day after, this is going to be when you send a personal note and invite to next steps, whatever that might be. If that's, sending them a link to a scan, whatever that could look like for you and how you want to do this. Okay. So now that we have these two lists, we are going to create follow-up plans. How many of you guys, maybe in the, let me know in the chat here, maybe just a show of hands, how many of us have made or used a follow-up plan before? Have we made or used a follow-up plan before? I know we went into some details about that just a little bit ago, right? A couple of sessions ago. So what follow-up plans are going to be, they're going to be right over here, and it's under contact settings. Follow-up plans are essentially a series of prompts that you're going to give yourself to know what to do and when as it pertains to an event or to a person. So the first thing that we're going to do is to create a follow-up plan for the event. and we're going to name it after the event that's going to use this chronological list, right, leading up to that event's date. So let me grab and copy the title, because that's going to be the title of our follow-up plan. And we're going to go over here and paste that in here and create. All right, so now what we get to do is specify a day, specify an action, and if this is something that has a coaching activity, such as a following up with a prospect, then you could apply this if you're using your digital upline coach, but we're not going to get too deep into that here today. All right, so our first thing, so this is 20 days prior. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, and I'm actually just going to copy this guy here, copy, paste that in action, and I'm going to go negative, excuse me, negative 20. I think that would be negative 19. Is that right, Greg? If we're doing that, like if we're trying to be precise here.
Yeah, probably.
Okay. Because -1 would be the day before, and then day 0 is the day of, right? So this is going to be with day 20, or 20 days after this is the day of the event. So we're negative 19. So now I'm going to add a new one, and this was also 20 days ahead of time. I'm going to order supplies. So let me copy that and go add that to my plan here. My next one is 14 days. I've got 2 of them for 14 days. Let me just grab these. And we're going to add another. So this would be negative 13 in this case. Oh, and definitely delete the days prior so that you're just getting your to-do list here. Oop. Paste. All right, so this is negative 13. So you guys see what we're doing here? Now let me show you what day before and day of look like. So pack supplies and trunk, that's going to be day before. That's going to be -1. And then day of. We're going to say event attendees, because this is going to be an event follow-up plan and not a person follow or contact follow-up plan. Finally, this is day of, that's day 0, pasting that in, hitting add. All right, so this follow-up plan is done, and this is for the event. Okay, next step is going to be, let's check that off. Next step is going to be to create a follow-up plan for the attendees, and that's using what we have literally right here. So I'm just going to copy this so that I can come over here and create a new follow-up plan. And actually, I'm going to copy this one because it has the same name. And I'm going to also add attendees, right? So that I know that this isn't for the event, it's for the people who attended it. Okay, so disrupted. What did it not add that? Interesting. You could also just go with something similar. It's a very long name. All right, so I'm going to delete these other guys because I did copy them and I don't want them in the new plan, which is pretty quick and easy. Okay, so now let's paste these in. So immediate is going to be day 0. And let me copy the rest and delete that so I can create this one. So immediately I want to have a to-do as soon as they say, yes, I want to go to this event. I want to find them on Facebook. I want to make sure we're connected. I want to share something positive, show some kind of positive behavior toward them. So day before, that's going to be -1. And let me delete day before and immediate here. And then for day, oops, let me copy this guy and delete. All right, so for day before, I'm going to delete that here. Click on this and go -1. Click off of it and it'll update. There we go. And then finally, this would be the day after the event. So I'm just going to specify after event, send a personal note, and invite to next steps. So this, because this is going to be applied when they RSVP, and some people might RSVP 2 weeks before, and they might RSVP the day of or the day, right before. What I want to encourage you to do is to maybe just make this like a day 2, but then specify after event so that you know that this is something that you need to do once the event has passed. All right, so we're just going to add that. And we're good to go on this step. There's actually only a couple more things we need to do here. So you have on this checklist this exact image in Canva. This is a logo sized image. Of course, this one has kind of got like a dark, scary theme to it. You could do whatever you like with it, but this resolution size will work fine for sharing, generally speaking. And then, of course, you can go into Canva and make any changes that you want to make it reflect your brand. So once you've got that done, you want to download this image. And then what we're going to do next, if we go back over here to the checklist, right? We create an event logo image in Canva. And then we want to write out the messages we want to send to our attendees who are RSVP. So we want to have them confirm the registration, including the dates, times, and other information, send a reminder ahead of the event, and then follow up 1 day after. So this is going to be a confirmation. This one is going to be reminder, and this one is going to be day after. And then we're just going to type in what we want to say. We'll just say confirmed. And let me go up here and grab the title. And then we'll add the date, time, location, right? Okay. And that could be really simply repeated here. You could add additional stuff. I wouldn't get too busy. You want to be mindful of people's time. And the first one, you say confirmed. The second one, you say reminder. If you want to say anything else here, you could say, hey, by the way, I've got a free Facebook group. If you'd like to join it, you can maybe put that down by your signature. You could, encourage them to bring a friend, whatever it is that you want to do, right? After they've registered. And then the day after, we want to make this personal, and we'll say contact first name. So it shows their name. Contact first name. So glad you could make it to the event last night. Be more specific, right? If it was a party, if it was whatever, or just so glad you can make it last night. I'd love to know what you learned that surprised you. I spend so much time learning this kind of stuff that I'm always surprised at how little most of us know about what's lurking in our makeup bags. Talk soon. Really, just real simple, right? Because this reads like you could have just sent this directly to that person. It is just going to send to everybody, and it's going to feel personal. So we've got that done. So let's check these off. Guys, we're almost done. This is only 2 pages. Now we're going to go create a campaign with these messages. And I'm going to make my life easy and just copy all of this that I just wrote. And I'm going to go over here to our campaigns. I'm going to create a new one. Oh, I need to copy the title and put that as the campaign title. And that will also be, they're the same here in this case, and that's fine. We're going to create the campaign. And we will get to how we attach the follow-up plan in just a second. I've got that. We've got a workflow here that's in the checklist. So, all right. So now we're going to come over here we're going to copy this and we're going to paste everything and then recopy the stuff that we don't need for this one. Okay, so this is confirmed, disrupted, right? So put the title up here, right? And then we'll say you're in, and then we'll pop their first name contact in here. And then we'll say, see you then, right? And add any additional information you want to share here. Put the link to your event here. Later on, you have to do that after because we haven't created it yet. But you could go back and add your event link here and tell them to share this with a friend, that kind of thing. You could certainly do that. Let's go ahead and add that. That's going to go out immediately. So we're going to keep that as day 0. We're going to write a new message. And this one is going to be reminder disrupted and whatever the rest of the title is. All right. And then we'll say, hey, so-and-so. Just a reminder, our event is tomorrow. And say anything else you want to say. And then add the message. Now I'm going to go ahead and add one more. I'm not changing the dates here yet because there is one thing that I want to show you how to do. And this is going to be really powerful for you. Let me copy this. Last one. Let's create one more message. So we have our 3 here. All right. So this is going to be great to see you last night. Again, just make this feel like you wrote it to a friend because you probably did, right? So glad you could make it. Love to know what you learned, yada, yada, and so on. Okay, so I've got these. Now, you remember how we had a date set for our event, right? Up here, September 23rd, 2022. Now, you have the ability in your campaigns to have them start on a specific date, okay? So let's just put day 1 here for reminder and day 2 here. So we have a differentiation, okay? So confirmed, disrupted, this confirmation email, regardless of what date we start this is going to go out immediately when they register. But we want this to go out the day before and then this to go out the day after, okay? The way we're gonna do that is knowing what our date is. Oh goodness, what am I doing? Okay, here we go. So knowing that our date is this, and we wanna send that reminder the day of, if we started the campaign the day before, they're now going to get this reminder for today. I think I said today in here. Of course, you could create one that reminds them the day before, one that reminds them the day of. You could certainly do all of that. I'm just showing you a framework of how you can do this. And then, of course, we want to send something after the fact, right? So you see that? Now, if you do have advanced settings enabled, if you're premium or higher, you can also modify the specific time of day. Just so you know, especially if you're sending something day of, we do have a default send time of 5 p.m. Central, right? So if you're on basic, that's when it's going to send. If you are on premium or higher, then you do have this ability to modify exactly what time. So if you're wanting to, as a basic plan member, I would actually recommend doing like the day before. So I would, you could put this as the 21st, and then this would actually go out the day prior. And then I would send this up one more, right? So they would get day before message, and then they would get the day after message. Cool? Depending on what time of day you want to have your event. All right, so we created our campaign, you guys. That's it. It's pretty simple, right? When we apply a date, we now don't have to think to go back to send thank yous and reminders or follow-ups or whatever. This can do it for you. So people are already reached out and touched. You just have to go and make sure that they're opening the emails, which we've already covered in our follow-up plans, right? Check to see if the email was opened. Okay, so we've created our campaign. Finally, we are going to go, before we create our event, we're going to create an automation to apply our contact follow-up plan. Now, there's two ways that you can apply follow-up plans to events. One of them is to attach a follow-up plan to the event itself, which is something you can do once an event is created, and that is for your planning purposes. The contact specific one that we've created here today, you're going to want to apply that to the contacts as they register. Okay. So there's two follow-up plans we want to apply. And the way we're going to apply the second one is by attaching an automation. Okay. So we're just going to go into automations, which you can find under contact settings, and then click on automations. And the instruction here is to create an automation that applies the event attendees follow-up plan and name it the same as your event attendees follow-up plan. Okay, so I'm going to go, already created that guy. I'm going to create an automation. And the action I'm going to add is attendees. What is that? Where is that? Anyway, so, oh, that's a follow-up plan. I was looking at campaigns. There we go. Disrupted event attendees. Add the action. And this is going to be disrupted event attendees. Okay. So we're going to get a follow-up plan for those people. So we create the automation. Now that's done. It's time to create our event, right? So we've made our automation here. Now we're going to create the event. So I'll go over here, and this is, again, let me just go back and copy this because it's long. And if it's all here, it's so easy to do because you're just copying and pasting, right? So this is going to be the 23rd at 6 p.m. ending the 23rd, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And this is where you put all kinds of information, right? You do, you know, come learn how, right? So put some stuff in here, really entice them, get them curious, let them know there'll be snacks. People love when there's snacks. You know, if you're doing a product experience party and you're mixing Ningxia with wine, be sure to let people know. You know, be sure to let them know that it's going to be a great time. This is the space where you want to make sure you're really letting them know what's in it for them for showing up. Okay, so we put that information in here. We go and we grab our event logo, which I haven't actually downloaded yet. So let me download that. All right. And I can now upload that here. Voila. All right. So that's loaded here. You can choose if you want people to be able to find this, just stumble upon it on your website, then you want to select this. If this is really only something that's for your team, for instance, then I would put that here. So it's hidden from search engines. Let's see, now we're getting into our final steps. So what did we do? Let's get back down to our checklist here. We created event. We added the information. Now we need to attach campaign and the automation. Okay, so let's go to our campaign here, and we're looking for, what do we call that? We called that disrupted. We have so many Grow Workspace resources in here. Do you too? And D comes before G. Where did that go? Anyway, you're going to find it in here, as I am not currently seeing it. I do want to make sure that I've got this done for you guys so we can answer plenty of questions. I'm just going to pop one in here. Yours will be in your campaign list if you did things correctly. And then finally, we want to add your automation. You know why it's not here? You know what? Let me refresh this real quick. Here's why. I already had the event page open, and it wasn't showing our disrupted. There's disrupted. There is disrupted event attendees. Voila. We do want to redirect them to a confirmation page. It's just the best place to go. Absent this, then you can just keep them on the events page or send them to your home page or something to that effect. Let me go ahead and re-upload this and add this information in so that you can see what it looks like once we're done. And we're almost completely done with this, you guys. And yes, the trick is to not create your event first. but to do the things, the things that the event needs before you make the event. All right, so let's go over our checklist here real quick. We have done our name, description, date, time, image, campaign is attached, follow-up plan automation is attached, sending people to a confirmation page is done. And then the final thing that we're going to do is we're going to attach our personal planning follow-up plan to this event. So what we have to do that is to create the event. Voila, now it's published. So the final step down here before we actually go and start promoting this deal is we're going to click edit events, and then under to do, we're going to hit add and apply our event planning follow-up plan from the previous steps. So that's right here. This is our published event. You could also find this by going to your events list. And here it is. Go to do right here, click add, and then under follow-up plan, this is the whole one. So remember, event attendees, that was the one that your automation applied. This is yours for your planning purposes, okay? So we're adding that. And now we have got our to-dos set up that are coming up for us to plan this event. Okay, we've done everything now. It's now time to share and start promoting this thing. So you can click here to share and go straight off to social, or you could click to grab the event link. Another way that you can do this quickly is to click on events and then click get link. Well, let's go ahead and view it as it would appear on your page. If you have my story and photo set up, that'll show up down here if you've elected to apply that to pages or to your event pages or your event digest. And of course, if you go to yourwebsite.com or .whatever/events, you will see that this is in your list of upcoming events. They can click it and make it right over here where they can register, right? So once they're in here, they're going to automatically get that confirmation email. They're going to get an email the day before in this case, and then they're going to get an email the day after. And then throughout all of this from your dashboard, you're going to be able to see to-dos for you. And of course, you'll have whichever ones are there ongoing if you're using follow-up plans already. But we have events with to-dos here, so we can click here and actually go straight to our event to-do list so that we can manage this. Right? And so we can actually go through, see what that is. If we want to give ourselves credit for a coaching activity, we can do that here. And that's it. Yeah, that's how we create our events. So I'm so excited for you guys to get into this, start hosting more events, and share your stories with us. Tell us how it's going for you. So if you put it in the chat, I might have missed it. Pretty please come over to the Q&A if you have questions. And we'll make sure we get to those. Jenny, be on the lookout this week. And actually, we're not going to be sharing a link for the email marketing masterclass. You're going to see a banner inside of your GetOiling system when you log in, and it'll be under your account settings where you can actually opt yourself into it. It's actually something that's only available to active GetOiling customers. And so you're actually able to access it from inside while you're logged into GetOiling. You're able to click and opt into that. So keep an eye out. All right, Angie says, I might need someone to look at my current event at the end. Let me see what I learned during today. Angie, let me know. We do have a little bit of time for that if you'd like me to take a look. What's the best way to create an I've registered campaign that could be either duplicated or slightly edited or reused? Greg, is there a personalization tag for like an event title or like there is for like vault name, or would that just be a, need to go in and manually change it?
I think you'd have to change it. There's no tag for that right now.
Okay, awesome. So basically, Allison, the way that I would approach this strategically, if you want to use this as a repeat, is you would want to have your confirmation and you would just need to go in and switch date, time, location, title, like you copy the campaign. Right? You're just going to copy the campaign, make a new one, retitle it for the title of the event, swap out the information, and then of course you're just going to do that, repeat that for the second one, right? The reminder email, and then depending on the nature of what you're teaching, you could send a pretty standard follow-up after the fact. I would just really caution where you're sending email communications to people that you try to keep it as simple as possible and feeling as though it was handwritten by you, thinking about them and sending it to them directly. So loading it with links and next steps and pretty stuff, and like that's very markety and that's very I'm talking at you. I would really recommend, especially for in-person events, that you are you're reconnecting with them after the event in a way that feels very high touch. So that what example I gave you today is that. And the good news is that takes very little time and like zero designy, pretty making thing experience. So what we've done today, I think, is a really good base model for you to go off of. Do you add this follow-up plan to a person? No. As you just saw, we added that to the event itself. After you create the event and you see the to-dos list, you click add, and then you apply the, which is a bit basically a launching event plan, yes, to the event itself. All right, definitely. So for those of you who would like to have me to have a look, so Angie, Allison, in the Q&A, would you please put your a link to your event that you want us to take a look at, and we can make sure we take a look at that. So recommendations on when to send reminders is really going to depend. If you have premium or higher, I like the idea of sending one a couple days before. It's like, hey, I'm so excited. We're going to be, you know, blah, blah, blah. Here's all the stuff we're going to do. And then maybe the morning of, right? Either the night before or the morning of sending that reminder. It's not a hard science. And anybody who tells you it is like lying to you. It's a very soft science. You just figure out what works best for you. And yeah, we're happy to look at what you have put together. Good questions here. Why would you want to specify how you want the campaign sent? I think the default is either or both, but I find that I send it to both places. So it depends on if people have their phone number in your system and you have it sent to both, then they're receiving duplicate information on email and text, which could be irritating to people because that's a lot of stuff that's coming from you, right? You run the risk of somebody opting out because they're getting duplicate information from you. So I personally recommend for something like this, that if you do both, then in the individual, when you're setting up the campaign, if you're using the advanced features, you can say send by email or send by text or email or text preferred. So in that case, maybe you send an email the night before, an email, very specifically just an email. And then the next morning you send a text. It's like, hey, I'm so excited to see you tonight. Hey, could you do me a favor and bring some cups? You guys, if I have one thing to share with you, and this is not a Young Living specific thing, it is a network marketing event specific thing. If you want to get butts and seats, you ask a favor of people that you've invited and you ask them to bring something, bring ice, bring chips, bring water, bring cups, right? And so if you want to add that to your to-do list to reach out and ask them to bring a thing, then that's going to get you more people showing up. Especially, of course, if they're not people that you know, right? If they're not your personal friends or, you know, warmer market, then maybe don't. But if we're talking about warm market, you say, hey, do me a quick favor. Could you bring a thing? I'll reimburse you or something like that. It's just an excuse to get people in the door, because then they'll feel really bad for not showing up if they don't show up. Okay, so that's done. Angie says, I've done all of this backwards. Can I still do some of the reminders? Yeah, so if you've already created your event in GetOiling, you can go back, make the other things, and then plug them back in. Just make sure that you are like basically what I would do is take the checklist that I've given you today and check off the things you've already done, and then go back from the top, right? And then just check off the things that need to be done as you're doing them, and then you'll be good. Yeah, Angie, you just need a link to that event. Let me see. When I did -1 for the reminder, it never gave a date. I have a basic plan. Yeah, so the reminder, what you have to do is you have to select a date, right? So the automatic setting for campaigns, let me show you this real quick. Okay, thank you, Angie. I just haven't scrolled all the way down to it yet. It's a lot in the Q&A. Okay, so if we go to campaigns, Amanda, if we, let me find this one that I'll click on one that exists already. There's an ASAP. This is default, but you also have the option to pick on a specific date. So it'll give you the date once you add a date here. Otherwise, it's going to be as soon as possible, and they would just get the reminder like the day after. And also importantly, the negatives are the negative numbers that we're talking about. Those are for your follow-up plans, right? Importantly, because your campaigns are only going to send on 0 and positive dates. You can't like send stuff like for, you see what I mean? Like that's why you actually want to set your date, and that's why I was playing around with it. I actually set the send on date for the campaign for like 2 days before the actual event, so that the emails that I wrote would deliver on the dates, and they show up underneath it once you've selected the date. But so they actually send on the dates that you want them to. What if you have a person at the event where you promise additional info? How would you go about editing just their automated emails? So if they're getting the campaign, then what I would do is I would go into their contact and remove the campaign. So let me show you how to do that real quick. Let me make this guy possibly a little easier for you guys to see. Let me find my contact in here. And what you're going to do is you're going to scroll down to campaigns, click whatever the campaign is, and then just click delete. So the campaign would be the campaign for your event. So it would be titled for your event. So look for that, click it, and then delete it. And then what I want you to do is go up here to email, schedule it for whenever, right? Or send it right away the next day or whatever that might be. If you don't, like, if you need to just give yourself a to-do to the night before so that you don't forget, then you're going to go down here to make a to-do for tomorrow to send follow-up email from event. And you just add that to do, at which time, once you're ready, you get into your system, you're going to click here, add whatever you want to say, and then send it out right away or schedule it, right? You could also, if you think you know what you want to say, you could also write it and save a draft and then send it later if you wanted. It's a good question. Okay, thank you, Rebecca. All right, so a couple of questions here, and then I want to look at your events, you guys. Since you mentioned the vault tag, is it possible that the name of the vault only shows up when the vault is visible? Okay, so this is more like a vault question, but Cornelia, this is a really good question. So we have built in welcome to vault campaigns and vault pre-purchase campaigns. So in your welcome to vault campaign, it's already like we have a stock version that works just generally. It's like, hey, you have access to my vault now. Here's how you get in. That personalization tag is only going to work on that for that campaign when it sends out if that campaign is attached to the vault in its settings. So if the vault campaign is whatever that is, then that vault personalization tag works. Anonymous, hello. This is my very first Zoom with you all. I know that I need to start from scratch. However, just a quick question. Is all of this included in a basic or beginner package of GetOiling? Yeah. Yeah. All of this. And in fact, I think even Seed and Starter could do most of the stuff that we have in here. You have an events manager in Seed and Starter as well. So this is stuff that you can do on all plan levels. And we're happy to have you here, and thank you. All right, Angie, let's take a look at Angie's event. Oh, this is cute. Hold on, let me share. Okay, Dr. Mom Wellness Chest, great name. Calling all moms, grandmas, aunties, and friends, save the date. Okay. Fabulous. Okay, great. So you click register. All right, so Angie, I'm gonna bring you out to chat so that we can make sure that we're getting any of your questions answered here about this. All right, so what in particular are you looking for in terms of feedback on this? Hi.
Hi, okay. So apparently I've done it backwards, right? So should I go so I have sent it out
Okay.
via email and text. That was not planned, but I'm learning as I go. Should I go on and create a campaign since I didn't do that and
No.
sort of backstep a little bit? Okay.
Yeah,
So
no,
since
what I would
only have the event-
what I would do at this point, Angie, because this is coming up within the week. What I would do is for your people who have RSVP'd, and I'm just going to use the Jane one just to demonstrate
Okay.
this for you, because I don't want to show your people's information.
Okay.
But if
Thank
we
you.
go to our events here, let me see if I have any. Here we go. Here's one that's got an attendee. Okay, so when you go to see your people who have RSVP'd, for people who said yes, you can click here and then you can schedule a saved reply. So what I would do is do your reminders this way,
Okay.
right?
And I
So-
do that one at a time, or
No, this will
do
be,
I
so whatever that number shows up as here.
oh,
So
okay.
yeah. So if
Okay,
this says
okay.
27, then when you click
Mhm.
27, then you're going to be able to just go straight over. It just has one right now, but you're going to be able to go straight
Mhm.
over and schedule your, your pre-event reminder, and then even that post-event follow-up or anything else that you want to say ahead of time. You're just
Okay.
going to want to make sure you schedule it for dates and times.
And do I create that in the saved reply area, or do I create that? Because I've already got the checklist printed off, ready to go. So
Got you. Yeah. So, I mean, you don't have to use a saved, you just schedule your message. If
Okay.
you like, having a saved reply is definitely
Mhm.
good for like a fail safe in your back pocket to be able to say, okay,
Okay.
let me just plop this right in there. But the cool thing
Mhm.
is that when our events manager was created, we didn't have date-based campaigns yet. So we actually have a cool feature. When you go in here and you say, okay, I want to send a reminder to attendees, we can go to actions, mail, schedule. I want to send it. Yours is the 13th. I'm going to send it on the 12th at 5 o'clock. Then this stuff already shows up here for you.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I saw that this morning, because this morning I tried to send out to a few to my local via text who did not receive an email. So one step at a time as I'm learning. But I do have another question. I noticed and I love this, but I didn't do it. So it must be something that's set up in the back office. And so when the email went out and some people RSVP'd, they received another email that said something like, complete this registration. You can get a welcome gift, 5 steps to healthier living.
You want to know what that is?
Like, oh, well, I finally saw it. I thought, what am I sending them as a free gift?
So
it
it's a
was
default
download.
campaign. That's a default
Okay.
campaign, and that's called new prospects. And it's this one
Okay.
right here. It is built into the system. You have to
Okay.
do nothing to it. And it says,
Right.
hey, here's a free thing. You want to learn more about X, Y, or Z stuff. So this is
Yeah.
built in. You can control your default campaigns by going to contact settings, general, and then
Okay.
you can choose. I often choose no campaign here when our system is highly personalized to your brand. But it's a great thing to just have if you're getting started. If you would want anybody to get curious about Young Living right off the bat, then this is a great thing to send out.
Right. I noticed. So also, like when they completed that, is that the same thing where they had the opportunity to complete things they wanted more information on? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I had 3 people who I have not talked to forever respond to that. I'm like, I don't know how this happened, but this is pretty amazing.
So that's going to
So,
show up in
yeah.
past actions. So
Okay.
if you go to their contacts, and you'll get a notification when this stuff happens typically,
Yes.
but it'll
Right.
show up in past actions.
Oh, okay, good. I was wondering where that was at. Okay.
Yep. You'll always have that info.
All right. Well, I think that answers some of my questions, but thank you for the checkoff sheet. I'm a checkoff person, so it's going to help make it so much better. I did everything backwards, but
yeah,
it's good.
Really
So,
being process oriented about this really takes the frustration out of it, and it saves a ton of time if you know the order of operations. So good luck, and I'm excited for
All
you.
right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, guys.
All right, take care. All right, Allison, I'm going to bring you out to chat, and we're going to take a look at yours as well. Hello.
Hi.
Hi. All right. Here, let me share my screen here. What kind of questions do you have about your event?
It's more about the campaign that I set up afterwards. That whole date thing has
Okay.
had me, like, I can't seem to figure it out. And I think what I realized is when you put in the date, you put it in as 1 and 3. And I feel like whatever date I'm on, so my class is towards the end of the month. So if I were to create it today, it would be the, whatever today is, the 8th.
What is the name of the campaign?
If you type in school, it should come up. So back to school, well, oh yeah, that one.
Okay. Great.
So
right.
I put in September 3rd, and then I put in these dates. So but I had to fiddle around with that date. So that maybe is part of my problem, like.
Okay. Yeah. So so let's go and let's just make this one. This is the day before the event, and this is the day after the event. And the day of the event is what again? Let's see, the 26th. So September 26th. So that means, there we go. Day before, day after.
Oh, that was so simple.
We did it. I mean, the way that you did it, it still technically works. It's just, this is a little bit more straightforward to understand, I think. We just needed to change the math a little bit. That's all.
Okay.
You had it right. Like it, you know, these are both right answers.
Okay.
Yeah, good job.
Can I ask an unrelated vault question while you're in my thing?
Sure.
So in my classes in my vault, or maybe it's just in the vault, there's this would be it. So I've got 14 lessons. I don't know how to break this up. I think you had suggested in the Get Your Groups Off Facebook to divide it up by body systems, but I don't know if mine really can be divided up to body systems. I think there's should be like a beginners for at least those first 3.
Yeah, here, let me open up the vault real quick that that I used as an example for that course. And I could show you, it's not even correct. Anyway, basically, and you can see it in the How to Move Your Groups course. But what I did was in the categories for all of them, I had things like Young Living must-haves. And in the must-haves category, there was Grow Workspace Sways on Ningxia Red, on Thieves. I don't remember exactly what else was in there. It was maybe one that was like an overview on supplements, PSK, CBD, like it just had those, right? But then where their content really grows out into other directions, I have like oily family, beauty, seasonal, you know, family wellness, things like that. Like you can kind of categorize however you want. There's not really a wrong answer here. You know, if budget, like I would actually be thinking about like the priorities and things that you talk about the most, and that people come to you for. So if budget is one of them, then, you know, you could say oily budget hacks, and then just put all of this, you know, the stuff that's budget related in there. And then diffusing, if you've got a bunch of diffuser stuff, make that a category for each of those lessons. But then, you know, things like summer gardening and oils that I would put into seasonal, right? Because that's summer, and that could be in the same seasonal section as the holiday stuff and the, you know, the tags and the make and takes that are, you know, holiday themed. Does that help?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming out. All right, it's a couple more questions here that we'll get into before we go. So many good questions today. Really excited to see what you guys do with this. All right, Cornelia says, yes, I use the Welcome Vault campaigns, but in the emails, the vault name doesn't show up. My thought was that it happens because most of my vaults are turned not visible to everybody as they enter my member area. So if somebody is receiving a vault campaign because they were either manually added to a vault, first provided that campaign, let's call it campaign A. You have campaign A, which is a welcome to vault campaign that's either built in or the one that you've modified, right? You have that attached to vault A. Now you can add your contact to your vault by any number of means. You could do it manually. They could opt in on a landing page, so on and so forth, right? If campaign A is attached to vault A, and that person is authorized by you or via a page, you know, of some kind where you say, add this person to vault if they opt in here or pay for it or whatever, then they will see that vault name in that campaign, in campaign A. If it's attached, it'll show up there. If the vault is disabled, then perhaps no, but I don't know if you could even technically add them and then have the email go out if the vault is disabled. So if the vault is enabled, meaning it exists for people to interact with, whether or not something is hidden from view in the vault from others doesn't impact how the campaign is sent. So if you feel like you are dealing with a potential technical issue here, definitely reach out to our team so we can make sure that there aren't any funny bugs that we need to squash and take care of. All right. Thank you. This looks like an amazing time saver. I'm about 4 years into Young Living, but have not moved from STAR the entire time. I've also admittedly not done much other than one-on-one sharing to move forward because I'm quite overwhelmed by technology. You're really tempting me to start up with GetOiling and get back in the swing of things. I would encourage you, wish I knew your name so I could address you directly. I encourage you to, it's a $1 trial, give it a shot, and head over to our Facebook group. And meet our community. We've got incredible, helpful people in the community who are Team YL folks who do all kinds of amazing things with our system. But the thing that I would encourage you to do, the perspective I would encourage you to walk in with is you're going to see people doing all kinds of amazing stuff. And some of it might look and might be really complicated. You don't have to do any of it yet, right? So if you want to do events, start with events. If you want to, just make sure you're getting in touch with your people appropriately, your STAR, you got a few customers, right? You want to be in touch with them, use us for that, but just baby steps. Use us for one function at a time, and you're going to get your money's worth and not be overwhelmed. So you'll feel confident in this, and definitely do come and meet us in the Facebook group and meet your community. All right, thank you for being here. Hi, Lisa. Okay, perfect. Hi, anonymous Lisa. Well, we hope to see you in our Facebook group. Again, you're welcome there, whether you're a GetOiling community member or not. It's Team YL, everything we do. So yeah, we look forward to helping you there. And guys, we'll be back next week. Be on the lookout for that link. I'll be sending it out. Tomorrow, I'll be sending out an email to you guys inviting you to the email marketing masterclass because we're going to be getting started with that here in the coming weeks. All right, you guys take care. We'll see you next time.